You recognize that tune, and you know it's time for Relic's Radio. This is a family-friendly show, so the entire family can join us as we talk metal detecting and relic hunting. You can call into the show at 270-495-0315 or join in the chat and post any comments or questions you might have, and we'll get to as many of them as we can. You're listening to Relic's Radio of Southern Kentucky and Middle Tennessee. And we're live from the South Carolina Low Country Relic Show. You're going to hear a lot of noise here today because we're not in studio conditions. But we are live here, and internet is a little bit spotty. We are about 9 minutes slow getting on the air. I don't see anybody in the chat right now. We are remotely recording this as we do it, so if things mess up, we'll still have an episode there. What do you think about it, Jeff?
Well, I think it's pretty nice. It's a lot of relics here, and this is the first time for me being at South Carolina, so it's going to be great. And I'm sitting here watching Butch on TV.
Yeah, that's a frightening thing right there, isn't it, having Butch on TV?
He's got a face for radio, not TV.
He sure does. He got a face for radio. We've got a lot of people here today. I think that what they say that I don't remember how many tables that they.
It was 200 I know of that he'd sold the other day, and then of course it looks like there's a few more than that here.
Yeah, I don't know. We're going to have Riley Bryant in a moment. I stopped by his table and said something to him. We're obviously going to have Butch here in a minute. Mark Hoover is here as well. But just as soon as we can get Butch's head swelled back down and everything, we'll get him on. He's sitting down in the chair right now. Get him to put the headphones on, and then we'll fire up his mic. Can you hear us over there, Butch?
This thing on?
It is now.
Is this thing on?
Yeah. Can you hear yourself there?
I can hear myself. Long-time caller, first-time listener. Oh, wait, I got that back.
Yes,
backwards.
Now, Butch, I've just I've seen some some pictures on Facebook of you on TV, so everybody's known you've been on TV, and you said earlier you had a face for radio, not TV.
I do. God help the watchers of that. I mean,
pretty good crowd here today, isn't it?
It's an excellent crowd. This year has been head and heels over what was last year, because last year they had a snowstorm and ice storm down here. It was unbelievable. And people are making up for it this year. We've done the show for 4 years. And this is the biggest crowd by far we've had. The tables are sold out. We were still selling vendor tables this morning.
How many tables have you got?
We've got about 205 tables put out.
Yeah, I knew you said that you had sold out the 200, so you've added five more.
We added 5 more, and that includes complimentary tables, things like that.
And see, if this place was any bigger, you could sell more tables. So, I mean,
there's room to expand. You guys may be crowded on the stage next year. You never know.
Well, you never know.
In between commercials, you can reach over and buy stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll go on a diet and I'll lose a little weight, and then we can squeeze somebody in there.
Losing weight won't help, Jeff. I'll just find it.
It is. It's 11 o'clock, just a little bit past 11 o'clock Eastern right now. You open the doors at what, 9?
9 o'clock.
And
we had a line out to the outside.
But I tell you what, it has filled up in here now. And we had the opportunity to walk around before everybody came in and see everything, you know. But it's packed. I mean, there are a lot of people. And so if you live in the Charleston or the Mount Pleasant area, come by the Omar Shrine here in Mount Pleasant. I think it's 196, isn't it?
I believe that's
on
correct.
Patriot Point Road. And this show is going to be here today. It will be here tomorrow as well. The American Digger Low Country Relic Show and Sale with American Digger Magazine. What have you been most impressed with, what you've seen? We've seen some stuff that we'll talk about in a moment.
I'm almost overwhelmed, and I've been to a lot of these shows, but oh my word, one of the things that's always a thrill to me is Bill Blackman's Confederate buckle collection. It's here. It's one of the largest in the world, probably. We also have another fella who I'm sorry his name slips me right now, but he also has a huge Confederate buckle collection. I'm always real impressed by Gregory Newman. He's the black gentleman up near the front.
I met him.
He is just unbelievable, the stuff he's researched concerning Confederates that are black troops that actually served with the Confederates, and there were some that did.
And then went to South America, he was telling me.
Yes.
And he's in contact with a lot of relatives and people that were associated. That's a very interesting story.
He drives down from New York City every year for this show.
Oh, really?
That's a long drive, and he does it by himself. That's a dedicated gentleman right there.
It sure is. And the artwork he has is beautiful.
He is an incredible artist.
It's unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's worth a trip to the show just to see him, but you're just getting started with that. I mean, you know, it's just overwhelming. It really is.
Yeah, I'll tell you, of course, this is my third Civil War show I've ever been to, and once you walk through the door, it's like a kid in a candy store, and then you better have a big, deep pockets with you if you're going to buy a lot of stuff, because you have stuff in between, affordable stuff, but you can spend as much money as you want to spend. So.
Oh, you can. I've already seen at least one item. I believe it was a sword for $22,000, and I'm sure there's other items here higher than that. I've also seen bullets for 50 cents a piece.
Oh, so, yeah. I seen a CS button earlier, and I thought, well, what would my wife think if I walked in with a $2,100 CS button? And I thought, well, I better not buy it. So I just left my card in my pocket.
You want me to buy it for you, then you can reimburse me. We'll work out a deal there.
We can do that. You take a check.
Not if your wife knows about it. And besides, sleeping outside's not that big a deal. She'll get over it eventually.
Oh yeah, we've had
old dog to keep you warm.
Yeah,
that's
we've
right,
had warm temperatures in Tennessee. So.
Yeah.
Me and Mark Hoover's here with us today. We went over to a guy's table over here, and he's the one with all the Corps badges and the ID tags. He has some stories that will just blow you away, that go with the Corps badges that he's got, that go with the ID tags that he's got, one-of-a-kind things and one-of-a-kind collections, to where he found a picture of a guy, and he actually has the badge the guy's wearing in the picture, and they were separated. Those two items were separated for like over 150 years, you know.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, all of these relics tell stories, but some of them tell better stories than other ones. And when you get something of a picture of a soldier actually wearing an item that was found, that's just, it doesn't get any better to me.
No.
Yeah, and can you imagine the research and everything he had to do to get them two pieces back together again?
Oh, yes, absolutely. And that's the thing for all the relic hunters out there and metal detectors. You digging that out of the ground is just part of it. Research it. Find out all you can about the piece, and oh my, if it's got a name on it, you track that name down. Do your best to find out who it belonged to and the story they got to tell.
And that's right. And then, of course, you've got a group on Facebook, American Digger. Can you ID this?
Right.
And if you've got an item that you can't identify, you put it on there, and buddy, somebody will identify.
We got some
fast.
good people on there.
Oh,
I mean,
really
they
do.
amaze me. One of them, I'll even call a couple of names. One of them, Larry Hockman, and the other one, Carl Wagner. They get on there a lot, and those guys just, I don't know where they get their IDs, but it's amazing.
I have no idea. I mean, Larry, it is amazing. I've had stuff for 5 or 10 years, showed it to 10 or 12, 13 people, and then he can get it just like that. And then he'll tell you the year of it. He'll tell you what it went to, and, I mean, he's amazing. So.
Larry was a veteran relic hunter when I started hunting, and I started hunting in the late 60s.
Okay.
So he was
knows.
already, he already had, he's actually mentioned in a book, but not by name, the book that by Howard Crouch called Relic Hunter. It's an old book. He's actually called in there Wild Beard because he used to have a beard, and he said he was never going to shave that beard until he found a Confederate buckle. And well, he eventually shaved it. I'm not sure if he found the buckle or not, but it was getting pretty long according to the book.
Yeah, and of course his job, I've seen him, he's running a backhoe a lot and a track hoe, and then, of course, you can imagine he's probably relic hunting every scoop he takes out.
What he does is not an accident because I've talked to him about it before, and he could have an office job with that company if he wanted to, but no, he wants to be out there in the field because that's where he gets his sights.
That's right, so.
Another guy that I saw on the end up here, he's got the encyclopedia of black powder. What's that guy's name? Do you know?
Oh.
Right on the end table right here that has the big books that he's written. He said, this is my life's work.
Colonel Bismarck. I'm probably mispronouncing his name.
Yeah.
He actually is an old-time relic hunter, and I didn't realize this until this show. He's dug his shell. He's dug his share of artillery shells, and he's got 2 or 3 volumes now. It is everything, every detail of every shell ever fired, I guess. It's unbelievable. I can't imagine how many hours he put into it.
I know it. Well, he said, this is my life's work.
Yes.
And we had Bird Dog on our show Thursday night, and, Bird Dog has really gotten into artillery and stuff like that. And he's the first guy I thought of,
Yep.
Because and I thought, well, all of those books are the same. They're 2 or 3 inches thick.
Yes.
And then Jeff or Mark Hoover was over there with us, and he said, oh, no. That's volume 2, that's volume 3, that's volume 4. I thought, goodness gracious.
And it's small print, too. I mean, it is loaded with stuff, illustrated. We use them in the American Digger offices to try to identify things we can't find.
Yeah. And, you and I know we've both written books, and you know how much time goes into even a 200 or 300 page book.
Oh,
and I mean, just look at what this guy. Well, look what goes into a magazine once every 2 months.
That's right. For 2 months worth of work. That's why we're not monthly.
That's exactly right. But we got a few people that are coming in. Obviously, this is going to be recorded here on Spreaker. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 or 3 segments, I think, today. We're going to go for about 30 minutes, and then we're going to take a little break, and then we'll come back. But anything else that kind of caught your eye that you want to point out?
Well, Debbie from Mind Lab just walked by.
I seen that.
And that caught your eye?
Excuse me. Debbie is actually giving away a metal detector, a Mind Lab metal detector. And that's another thing here at the show. We've got 2 metal detectors we're giving away as well. So, come by, you might win a detector.
You never know. And I mean, that's as soon as you walk through the door, you'll pay Anita, and then you've got a little pad there. You fill your information in, and then, of course, you can get a door prize.
Yes, you
never
can.
know.
Yes,
so
you can.
if you live anywhere close to Charleston right here, you need to be here at this Relic Show.
Absolutely.
How do they go about winning the detector that you guys are giving away? Just sign up at the door
They
there?
just sign up. There's a form that they fill out all the information on, including how they found out about the show, and they need to fill out all the information to be eligible. And then we have drawings at various times during the day. I don't remember the times for the detectors, but we will have other prizes all throughout the day, including the detectors, and tomorrow.
Yeah. Well, good job. And
it's a heck of a show, man. It's a heck of a show.
And I tell you what, the weather is great here.
Oh, yes.
The weather is going to be in the 60s all weekend long. A lot of sunshine. You got the beach. bring your whole family, let your wife and kids do shopping while you're at the show here, and then everybody go to the beach and have a barbecue this afternoon. I mean, this is a family vacation, ain't it?
You guys got here too late. We had an oyster roast and low country barbecue last night here.
Well, we were here last night.
We were here yesterday.
You weren't in the right spot.
Well, we can have another one tonight. I'm sure they're not sold out.
Look at me. You don't think I ate those leftovers? Oh, guys, well, I'm so glad you made it. Are you guys planning to do any detecting while you're down here? I hope.
Yeah, we're hoping so.
Yeah, this is the place to detect.
We're trying to get Riley Bryant to tell us where he's going to go and everything, you know.
Well, you can follow Riley, but you better walk real fast because even if you know where he's at, you don't know where he's finding the relics.
Yeah, I don't think Seven and I can keep up with Riley. I don't believe so. We'll have to get him a GPS put on him and then track him.
That's a good idea. Well, last time I hunted with him, I threatened to get one of those little orange flags on a long fiberglass pole like they put on four-wheelers.
Look like a little go-kart running around.
We like a go-kart in the woods.
So you know where he's at. We've got a few people that have found us here. Mark Hoover is in. Of course, Mark Hoover and Gail, they're sitting behind us here, so they didn't have any trouble finding us. And we've got Kerry that has come in and Josh Clayberg. And we're going to have some more guests that are going to be with us. I know you've got stuff that you need to do, Butch, so...
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on here, and it's been a blast. I mean, I'm just... This is our fourth year at this show, and I'm just overwhelmed with the stuff I'm seeing this year. It's just coming out of the woodwork.
How many years has this show been? I know that y'all have only had it for 4, but it's 20-something years.
25 years.
25 years.
25 years, and I've been to probably half of them, and this is one of the largest turnouts I've ever seen at it. So it's a good one.
And Butch, I had a question earlier. I was thinking, what got you into the Relic Shows?
Well, I used to go and set up at the Relic Shows first just to display, and then later on I started Graybird Relics. This was long before the magazine, and the way I started Graybird Relics is I ended up buying a bunch of relics from a fella because I wanted to keep a lot of them, but I couldn't keep them all. I just couldn't afford it. So I set up a table at a show and started selling the things I didn't like, and or that I couldn't keep, and being a hardcore relic hunter and collector, I then took that money and thought, well, I ought to buy some more relics. Mm-hmm. And for the first 5 years, I didn't consider it a successful show unless I brought home more than what I took.
Yeah.
And I was always buying stuff. And for a while, some people think there's a moral dilemma there of people selling their relics and other people buying them. But the way I look at it, okay, over the years, for instance, somebody that's really into coins, they find a Confederate belt buckle. That does not interest them as much as, say, a good collection of silver dollars or something. So they will sell that buckle to buy what they love, and then that buckle, people aren't just going to spend money for something they don't appreciate. Whoever gets that buckle is going to appreciate it. They're going to love it. They'll hopefully show it around at shows like this, and that's where it's at to me is no matter what is sold or bought, it ends up with somebody that really, truly appreciates the history. And that's what it's all about.
That is great. I've never heard it put that way, and I've got chill bumps just listening to it.
It's amazing.
Of course, I know there for a while when I first started relic hunting, I was finding a lot of good things, and I would feel bad if somebody offered me money, and I'm not going to sell it. And then the older I've got, I was like, well, I don't really like it that much, so, here, I'll sell it to you.
Yep.
And then so, that's just the way I've got it.
And, the important thing is whether you keep everything you find or whether you sell the things you find, put the information with it. Don't be secretive about where it was found. If somebody buys it, they need to buy the history known about the item, too.
That is right.
So if you find it at a super secret hot spot, don't sell it till you're through with that hot spot. Then tell them where it's at.
Right. Don't sell it till you're done with the hot spot.
That's right.
All right, appreciate you taking time out.
Thank you, guys. Thank y'all for all you do for the hobby, and it's awesome. Good job.
Yep. Okay, all right.
Thank you very much, Butch.
Thanks a lot. And we are live here at the show, and you know what? We're as out to do what we do normally, so we're going to take a break right here for just a second, and we're going to run a commercial, and we'll be right back.
Hey, Seven, we used to looking good in our new Relics Radio t-shirts.
Yeah, Ken and Mark Guthrie of Detectives.com done brung 'em to us.
Yep. And they makes other shirts, too.
Yeah, boy. Detectives.com can handle tees for your club, hunt, or any other promotion folks may have.
They even got the Wide Pride shirts.
Yeah, them boys does the manatee crawl.
Yeah, scooting on their bellies.
That's what I said. The manatee crawl.
Looks like slugs eating jelly.
So whether you hunt horizontal or vertical, tell the folks where they need to go, TJ.
www.detectives.com.
Tell them where they need to go, TJ.
That's right.
Detectives.com.
Detectives.com. We got some Detectives.com apparel on right now. And
here he comes.
showing
He's
our
running.
colors.
Oh,
Yeah.
Did he drop a relic?
I don't know. We got Riley Bryant that is coming in and going to get the headphones on here and get all set up and everything. Just pull that mic back around over where you're at, Riley. Just kind of talk across it there if you want to.
I'll just put these like I metal detector with them.
He's got one ear on and one ear off.
Yeah, you got to get comfortable. That's the way it is. So.
How's things going with you at your table over there today?
Oh, man, they're great. It's packed here. I mean, I hadn't had a second to sit down. So many people.
I'd say so. And then I walked by your table earlier, and, of course, I was going to talk to you a little bit. And then you were talking, I think it was like 50 people walked by and was like pretty much just grabbing at you. And you've got some nice relics over there.
Yeah. It's crazy here. I mean, just about every single person started talking. I mean,
No.
It's crazy.
You showed me one relic over there that one part of it had been found by a friend of yours years ago, and then you found. Tell about that relic there.
Well, that's a Revolutionary War officer's sword guard that I dug, and I found a large piece of it and it was missing about maybe a third of it, and I know that that spot had been hunted hard before in the past, so. When I posted it, one of the guys that I actually frequently hunt with, he had hunted the spot in 1998, and he said that he thought he might have the other half of it. So we met up one day when we were going to go digging together, and he pulled it out, and sure enough, I mean, it fit like a puzzle piece.
No.
I mean, it was exactly the same thing, and so it was. Now we had the whole guard, and he actually gave it to me, and we're going to switch it back and forth. I have it for 1 year. He has it for 1 year. Back and forth, so he can display it and I can display it. And I actually just submitted an article to American Digger Magazine about the whole situation and how we both got started in detecting and how we met up and matched the pieces. And we actually had a picture right as we put them together for the first time in 200 years.
Oh, that is great.
It was a special moment for sure.
You know, we walked over to a table over here a while ago, me and Mark Hoover and Gail, and there are some Corps badges and soldier ID tags and everything over there. He had one ID tag, and he told the story that the surgeon told about this young man had his leg blew off, you know, and all the agony that he went through and what they tried to do, and that he lived like a week or two. Just to hold a relic and know a story like that, I mean, it is absolutely amazing, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And you could probably go to any table in this place, and you've got a story where you've got two relics that you've put back together.
Yeah.
Don't you think that that's happened almost every table here? Somebody's going to tell you.
Yeah, probably so. And I can tell you every single table here does have a very personal artifact that you can tie back to probably a single soldier. So, I mean, there's some incredible relics here.
Oh, yeah, I've seen several great relics. And, of course, we're just sitting here looking out across the show, and then you can see lots of great relics right now. But I wonder how many times if you've got two friends like you and your friend were hunting in the same area, and then one of them would find like a wreath and the other one would find the tongue, and vice versa, and they do the same thing that you and your friends are doing, like share it, like somebody, like one of them keep it for a year, then the next one keep it for a year or something like that. So I wonder how many times that really happens.
Yeah, I know. I see it happen on Facebook all the time. Somebody finds half of something, or somebody finds the keeper to a sword belt plate, and another one finds a sword belt plate, and they switch back and forth. I mean, it's really cool. Of course, you can't always tell if it's, especially with pieces like belt buckles, if it actually is the same one.
Right.
But with a sword belt plate, they have benchmarks. So if it's the same benchmark, then you know that it was the same one that was on the same belt.
Now, what are you talking about on the benchmark?
The back of sword belt plates, 1851 model sword belt plates, have a little benchmark in the top left corner. It's like a 3-digit number, a serial number. And the keepers have the same serial number stamped on it to match the buckle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like if you have, a sword belt plate that has 436 stamped on the back, and you have a keeper that's 436, then you know that it's the same buckle.
You know that
it's
they go together.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. I learned something. Of course, I guess if I go to finding buckles, I'll research it more.
Yeah. Now, they didn't always have benchmarks, because I know when the war started, they were still producing them, and they kind of just blew that off and were just trying to shove them out as fast as they could, and didn't really care about that anymore. But probably more than half the time they have a benchmark.
Yeah. I've got 3 sword belt plates from it's 105th Ohio Volunteer Infantry, and then none of them have benchmarks on them. So it was a little bit later, and they just
do they have the cast wreath? Because I think the cast wreath buckles have the more benchmarks than the other ones do.
No, these are solid.
Oh, okay. All right.
And later in the war, there were a lot of things that changed. I was telling you about the Merle bullets that we found at Murfreesboro a while ago. And I did a history clip, did some research on that rifle, or on that carbine. And early in production, they had a brass patch compartment in the stock, built in the stock for a year or so. And then the demands of needing more carbines, they just discontinued that. I mean, they're just trying to get everything out the door the best that they can,
Yeah, plus the more brass they had, if they took the brass from that, they could make more trigger guards, more butt plates, and then produce more guns.
That's true.
Yeah, they took off, that's
true.
Cut it down to the necessity.
Yeah.
But, it's...
What's the most impressive thing that you've seen here today?
Well, I personally haven't gotten to walk around much, but the one thing that I've seen was there's a 200-pound parrot shell over there in the floor, and it's a bolt. And the thing, I mean, I don't even know how they got it in here.
I don't either.
Like, they must have had a forklift or something, because I tried to move that thing, and it would not budge.
I hadn't seen it. I've got to go over and see it.
Yeah, he's over there behind me, and he's got... he's got all kinds of huge artillery shells.
See, Riley, that would be one of them relics you would find out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
and then, of course,
exactly.
You would have to get a bulldozer to make a road just where you could get it.
Get a wheelbarrow, take it out there.
Yeah, and I've seen some YouTube channels where they hunt for the artillery on hillsides, well, pretty much mountainsides.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they would find a big piece of artillery, and then they would have to drag it up that hillside.
Yeah.
And it would 2 or 3 day effort just to get that one.
I know. I mean, I just think back on how many of these guys, like back in the 80s, that found those all over the place. How many of them just have horrible back problems now from trying to get them out?
I barely got here.
Yeah.
No, I haven't dug many iron relics at all. Everybody used to stay away from the iron. Everybody wanted to find the brass, the lead, and you stayed away from the iron. But now we had Bird Dog on Thursday night, and I tell you, and me and Jeff both picked up on it, he is a converted iron relic hunter now. Because we asked, or somebody on the show said, or on the chat said, if you could pick anywhere, where would you want to go? And he said, I want to go somewhere where they were dumping all that iron. I want to get in that iron,
Yeah.
So that's the way it is.
Because, I mean, there's no telling what they dumped in there.
Hey, Mark.
Help him out.
Yeah, somebody walked up, wanted to know something. I guess they thought we were broadcasting on the PA or something other here. I don't know. They're trying to find somebody. Well, Riley, we'll let you get back to your table. I think we got FC Digger that has come over.
He's somewhere here.
And we'll come over and check you out in a minute.
All right, cool deal.
We won't go hunting somewhere.
Well, yeah, sure. Come on down.
we're only going to be here today and tomorrow, though. We're not going to be here Monday.
Well,
so
I probably won't be able to hunt today or tomorrow.
Okay.
But I think I'm going hunting Monday. But, it's, after seeing all this, I wish I could just leave right now and hunt. But
I know.
There's a lot of good relics here.
But, I had a bunch of people tell me that they're just – one guy I actually hunted with last year came in here, and he could only stay for like 15 minutes because it was just too unbearable for him to look at all these relics and not be able to dig.
Yeah. And it's pretty as it is, too. It's going to be in the 60s today.
Oh, I know. It's sunny, too.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful day.
Yeah. Better than Tennessee weather right now. It was cold this morning when
Yeah.
everybody woke up. So.
Well, we'll let you get back to your table. And
all right, I appreciate
thanks
you
for
having me
joining
on.
us then.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Riley.
Yeah, I guess we go to a commercial right here. I tell you what, I'm I'm not up on everything right now. Let's run this one right here with Murray Branch Outdoors.
All right.
If your passion is metal detecting, then you know how much your success is based on the equipment you use. Let my buddy Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, help you with that. Tim is an authorized dealer of Garrett, XP Deus, and Macro detectors and supplies, and he is now an authorized dealer for MineLab. So, if you're looking to get your hands on one of the new Equinox 600 or 800, then Tim's your guy. Murray Branch Outdoors is not only competitive in their prices, but the service after the sale is second to none. Tim not only sells detectors, he uses them, and so he can answer any question that you might have. Murray Branch Outdoors also deals in used detectors, and he'll take your old detector in on trade when you decide to upgrade. So give Tim Henderson of Murray Branch Outdoors a call at 615-948-4611 and be sure and tell him that Relics Radio sent you. And Tim is a great guy, a good friend of ours, and we will stand behind everything that he does. He is a new dealer, been in it for a little over a year now, so he's eager to get your business and keep your business, and I guarantee you can call him at any time. We got a new guest that just stepped up. SC Digger, what's going on?
What's up, guys? Glad to be on the air.
Yeah, glad to have you on there. And then, of course, you're the low country relic master, pretty much. Everybody looks at your videos, and then, of course, they want to hunt. They want to be you.
I want to be me sometimes too. But we just drove down. Me and my digging partner, we actually live in the upstate of South Carolina, and we just drove down for the day. And we may go try to get into something this afternoon, but it's all it depends on what's going on.
Yeah, that's what 7 and I and Mark Hoover, we're going to try to get into something this evening. Even if it's the beach, of course, we're this far, we might as well look at the beach. So, it's a lot of relics around here, so we should find some somewhere.
Absolutely. Well, definitely the low country of South Carolina is. The place to be, I guess you could say. We've got everything from colonial, Rev War, all the way up War of 1812, and clearly there's a lot of Civil War, and the beaches, if that's your thing, if that's what you want to dig, we've got it all.
We're not beach hunters, but I guess at the spur of a moment, hey, we might as well try it. Now, Mark Hoover, he's from Orlando. Now, he is a beach hunter. But 7 and I, we're hardcore relic hunters. We do a colonial and we do Civil War, and then pretty much whatever we can find in between there. So.
Oh, absolutely. Well, and I'll take the detector to the beach too. Somewhere to dig a hole and swing the coal. We'll do it.
That's right. So, tell us a little bit about your Saving History channel. How did that get started? And
absolutely. Back in 2006 is when I put my first video up. So been doing it a pretty long time. I actually am a communications major, so I graduated with both a degree in mass comm and a master's degree in it. And so I used to do, when you had to actually edit video, cut and splice and put it together with editors and things. Mm-hmm. And I had seen a fellow online, he goes by Mudslide Slim, Sal Guttiso. and Sal, he's still in the hobby. I think he runs a lot of hunts to England and stuff now.
Uh-huh.
But he was putting up videos, and at the time on YouTube, there was probably 5 or 6 people actually putting videos online. It's not like the thousands there are now. And I, watching his videos, I said, I can do that. And I, found out about digital video and editing, and I think the first little camera I had shot something like 4 megapixels or something. It was, I mean, it looked like you shot it with a potato. But started doing that and really wasn't thinking in terms of other people really watching it as I did that. I was more so interested in using it as my record, historical record of the things I had found. So my documentation, if somebody wanted to watch it somewhere after the fact, great. 15 years later, I'm still putting them out, and I don't have the kind of following that some of the, I guess you say, major YouTube channels. Yeah. We all, Bo and Nugget and guys like that. I only dream of having that kind of audience, but at least if I'm putting something out there and somebody enjoys it, that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, I remember Mudslide Slim. I remember watching his videos, and they were great. And then, of course, I remember, I think about the first one I seen was they were digging up the Corduroy Road.
The Corduroy Road at Stoneman Switch. Yep.
Oh, man, that was an awesome video. And then, of course, that's about when I started making videos a little bit before. Then Seven and I hooked up, and then we just started making videos together. So,
about 3 years now. And you guys got into some Rev War stuff here a few years back that I had watched your stuff prior to that, but man, I really got into some of the things that you guys were finding.
So did we.
Yeah,
it always seems like everybody wants to find Civil War stuff,
right,
and Confederate Civil War stuff. And
right.
And I've been lucky enough to walk into at least one virgin Confederate camp, and it was on. But Russ is kind of, my research guy. He's good at reading diaries and maps and things, and had an idea of, he had read a diary entry or a letter from somebody, during the mid-1700s in the upstate of South Carolina that had just simply made a mention in like one sentence that said something about the British camped across the road or across the river. Now the thing was trying to figure out where did they live? Where was that house? And so, it probably took him a couple of years to do the research to put all the pieces together. Got permission on the site, walked in, and first thing he dug was a musket ball, and then he hit a shoe buckle, and then after, by the time the day was over, he had neck stock buckles and officer's buckle and
then you guys jumping up and down.
It was because I remember he went in the very first time and sent me a picture after that. He said, "Well, I'm going to go in and we're going to see because I think this is where it's at." Mm-hmm. And he sent me the picture, and it had the shoe buckle and stuff. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, there it is!" Yeah. And after that, we dug 15, 16 King George IIs out of it. So they're all early to mid 1700s coppers. Again, several neck stock buckles, several shoe buckles, a lot of what are called clasp knives. They're iron knives, but they were from the period, so they're pocket knives basically. Mm-hmm. The best things out of there, Russ got a 4 real, 1744 4 real. I got a 1666 farthing, British farthing. 1712 French deniers. So, as far as, or I guess you could say, organic relics, that were dropped in the time period, have to be some of the oldest coins, at least for the upstate of South Carolina. Now, I'm sure plenty have been found in the Low Country and stuff like that, but for the upstate, that was the frontier. That was a mid 1700s camp, and so it was before Charleston was Charleston.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even an official city at that time. And so, at the time, there were no marked buttons, no cartridge box plates, so there was nothing identifying the regiments that were coming through there. Mm-hmm. But it was the frontier.
Man, that is great. And that makes me want to get out and research right now. And it makes it a lot better if you do your research like he did, and then all of a sudden you just bam, you get permission.
And it's actually there.
And it's actually there. And in our luck, most of the time we do the research, and then we know it's right there across the fence, but we can't get permission.
Exactly.
Or it's got a hotel sitting right on top of it.
Well, and we believe that the camp extends beyond where we had permission, and we are very carefully trying to work out the best way to try to get permission on the remaining property, because sometimes you get one chance to ask.
That's
so
right.
That's true, and we've got a situation where we've got a camp, and we know where the rest of the camp is. And I've went and talked to the people, sat down with them for an hour, and showed that the relics that I found. Things are going in the local museum, turning it all back over to the community, telling the story, actually in the process of writing a book, and you can contribute. If you want the relics, we'll give you the relics. It's not that. We just want to document it.
That it's here, yeah.
And the guy and his wife, yeah, man, that's interesting. That really sounds good, And I said, so the question that I've been the last hour trying to get to, do you care if we detect on your land? No, not going to let you do that, And you just, you just want to just grit your teeth and scream. It's over with. So we've got another camp now. We just got a map that really nobody knows about, and it is a hand-drawn map of a camp. The roads all line up and everything. We know there's going to be a camp there. A 92-year-old woman owns it. And you know what it's like for a young man to go and try to talk to a 92-year-old woman. She doesn't know what you're up to or what you're about to do. So I'm going to take family members and talk with them, some of the younger people. I think that it will probably work out. But there's just so much work goes into finding a relic sometime, isn't there?
And so much work goes into not finding a relic.
You're right.
Like the story you just told. There's so many times where we've done research and, like you said, found where we thought there should be something, and either it's not there, or you go and somebody dug it hard in the 1980s or something like that. And it's anybody that thinks, and I know, for example, when you compare it to watching YouTube videos, I've always said that I'm not going to put a video out unless I've got something to show. So I know if you watch one of my videos, I do try to show a little bit of the trash and some of the common things we dig, but I'm hopefully going to have something good, a good find in there, because I don't know that people want to see me digging flat iron and and
can slaw
that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's you want to make sure that like I said, I guess people, when they look at it, they say, well, that must be easy because look at all the good stuff they find.
Right.
And it's not. There's been so many trips digging, outings we've gone on to that I shot video and it never made it in an episode or on YouTube or anywhere. It just got deleted because we didn't find anything.
And you could see the bed of my truck. Of course, it's full of iron right now, and of course, I don't film all that stuff. And then, people, like you said, look at the videos like, man, you just go out there with the metal detector and find what you want. But it's really not that way, and you know that. So.
Yeah, there may be 2 or 3 hunts that we go on. For every one you actually see recorded, it gets uploaded to YouTube.
Yeah. But, there's another side to it as well. I'm in southern Kentucky. I'm right along the Cumberland River. There is, story-wise, old wives' tales and legend that there's a Confederate camp there. I know that there is a Confederate camp somewhere because I know the people that were supposed to be in command of the militias and everything there. But anyway, I've got permission on the whole place. Just thousands and thousands of acres. So it's a matter of, you don't know where it's at. You can't find any documentation that tells you where it's at. So you just start looking at hills and springs, and I have found 4 colonial house sites that had no sign of anything. But I've yet to find, I found 1 Civil War bullet and 1 button. That's all I have found. But I've probably found 500 flat buttons and shoe buckles and reals.
Which is nothing wrong with that, but that's not what you're looking for. Yeah.
That now is what I am looking for.
But now you've gotten hooked on it. And me and Russ, we love a colonial site.
Oh, man. Well, I started out, I wanted to find Civil War stuff, but now that I've got a taste of, and we've got quite a bit of a taste for colonial, because we found probably 10 or 12 colonial sites now. That's all I want to hunt now. That is all I want to hunt. But they're hard to find.
There's
no documentation, and You just have to, what do you guys use for research? I don't want you to give too many secrets, but for a newcomer.
People say, well, use maps, read diaries, letters, things like that. But
right.
I guess if there's one general research tool that's available to everybody is we use historic aerials a lot. Now, every area doesn't have all the different aerials or topographical maps available. Some areas may have, an aerial photo or aerial images from the 1960s or 1950s. Sometimes you can find aerial images from the 1930s, but it also, many times, will bring the topographical maps in, which in some cases put a little dot where some kind of building was, whether it be a house or a barn or something like that. So using that, even though it's not going to give us, say, mid-1800s actual locations, there's a chance if there was a house there at the turn of the century in the 1900s, it could have been there 50 years before that or even earlier. So at least it gives you some leads by using the slider tool, looking at the place you have access to and doing the slider with the older aerials or older topographical maps. And everybody, that's something that's accessible to everybody. So historic aerials is probably one of the best general tools I think that anybody could use.
Are you? Yeah, and it is, because you can. What he's talking about, you can use the slider. You can see what the old topographical map looked like, and then what it looks like today. It'll get you close. But we have found, and I know in my particular area, the topographical maps go back to 1929, and then the next issue is 1939. I like to find all of those house sites that were marked in 29 but are not there on the 39, because that meant they may have been there in the 1870s.
They may have been older.
And we found two of those have turned out to be colonial sites deeper under that. And you don't have a lot of modern trash. If you're talking about a middle 1800s house, you got iron, but you don't have can slaw, you don't have roofing, and you don't have all that junk. But you get under that layer, and then you start finding your colonial stuff,
That's right.
And Indian artifacts as well in our area.
Yeah. A lot of people, they like, well, I don't want a flat button, I want a flat button. Man, I love flat buttons. I'll dig
a flat button any day. We like buttons.
Yeah, we sure do. And we've been blessed with some good buttons in our time. And, of course, we've got a couple of War of 1812 spots around our area, and then I've been lucky enough to find 5 or 6 of the War of 1812 buttons. Of course, we don't have them like you guys do, but we had a few. So.
And Matt Howell is on the chat here. I hadn't even been watching the chat. With Gone Digging, he's up in Virginia. You know Matt.
Yeah.
And he said, sometimes people want to see that stuff. You got to keep it real, because I think so many times we give the impression that this is an easy job. You just buy a detector and you go out. It's not. Just look at what we've all gone through just to get here to gain some more information. We drove 9 hours, and you'll spend hours on the road. You'll spend hours of research, and like you say, you're going to come up dry a lot of times. Yep. One question that was asked, and I know that you will know this: why is it called Low Country?
Because first of all, the land is we're at sea level. So I know it's a very simplistic explanation, but you've got the upstate, you got the Piedmont, which kind of runs towards into going towards Columbia to about halfway towards the coast is the Sandhills, and then you get down here in the Low Country, which is flat land. You see a lot of swamps and things. Imagine being a soldier in 1863, coming through the Low Country of South Carolina and having to march through all of that swamp, because
snakes
it's
and gators
everywhere. But yes, it's the Low Country because, like I said, kind of an overly simplified explanation, but the elevation is low. We're pretty much at sea level. You're going to have long, flat, open fields. That's why I would say Low Country.
No.
As a resident of this state, give us a little bit of idea of just an overview of the history. How historic of a place are we sitting in right here?
I think a lot of people, they may or may not realize how historic Charleston is, where you had the original settlement of Charlestown. which was an original British settlement before anybody had even started expanding, north and northwest up away from the coast. You had, as far as Charleston goes, you're looking at it going under British occupation during the Revolutionary War, clearly going back to American occupation, obviously after the war. It was it was where the first shots of the war between the states were fired, on Fort Sumter. Basically, Citadel cadets involved in that. You had, Charleston then being sacked, during the war, having to rebuild. The state, and I guess good or bad, whichever way you look at it, was pivotal in getting the thing started, and they were, heavily involved as far as South Carolina troops go all over the Southeast. I have dug South Carolina buttons in Virginia. I've seen them dug in Tennessee. I mean, they were out there. So, yeah, South Carolina, it being one of the 13 original colonies, there are, there's home sites that date back into the 1600s along the coast, probably some even earlier than that. So, yeah, and, they don't even, start thinking about talking about Native American stuff. Allendale County has one of the biggest paleo sites in the country, so it's a very long and extensive history.
Man, well, it sounds like I want to leave Tennessee and come to South Carolina. I mean, that's a lot of history.
Absolutely.
In the movie The Patriot, whenever the slaves when they tried to get all the slaves out to the coast, did they bring them to Charleston in that movie?
There were a lot of them. They found refuge in a lot of the barrier islands. A lot of what you would find, say, the Gullah cultures and things like that. A lot of them were the slaves that, like I said, sought refuge out on those barrier islands. Some were in Charleston. Again, when you look along the coast, you take let's say Hilton Head in Beaufort area, that was under complete Union occupation. I mean, so say they always say that during the war between the states, there were more Union troops on Hilton Head Island than there are full-time residents that live there today. So,
wow,
they actually found, because it was Union occupied, even during the war, they were able to find, I guess you could say, safety on the barrier islands. So, yeah, that's where you see a lot of that.
Man, that I had no idea. And of course, this is what I love about this show. I mean, you learn something every day. So, right now, what do you think about the Relic Show?
The show's awesome. Me and Russ, we made kind of like our first quick round, and then we were starting back around the second time to really study some of the things we wanted, and Butch started paging me to come be on the show, and I appreciate that. We there's amazing things here. There's stuff that, although I would like to say one day I'll dig one of those, it's likely I won't. There's really rare items. There's rare non-dug items as well. Two things that really stand out to me in the show is the plate collection, and honestly I don't remember whose it was, but they got one of the most extensive Confederate plate collections I've ever seen. And then the South Carolina collection, Jerry Kirkland has a display that it's all of the South Carolina buttons, basically from Revolutionary War up. And so, I mean, things like, light artillery, he's got, dog bone buttons, he's got Moultrie Guard, he's got Kings Mountain, he's got everything historically related to South Carolina buttons over there. So that's one of my favorites. But those are the two displays that really stand out to me.
Oh, yeah, they'll stand out to anybody. And then, of course, the biggest CS plate collection, it stands out in every show. And then, of course, I haven't seen the South Carolina buckles yet.
Yeah, it's worth walking up there for sure.
So
yeah, we haven't even gone around and seen very much. There is a display up here that a guy has, and I mentioned it to Riley Bryant here a while ago. Core badges and ID tags.
Yep. Saw those.
And
amazing stuff.
Get the guy to tell you one or two personal stories about that.
Okay.
It is absolutely amazing. He has a core badge and a photo of the soldier wearing that.
Wow.
And the photo and the badge have been separated for hundreds of years, and then finally,
He brought 'em back
150
together.
years, he brought them back together.
Very good.
And stuff. Hey, Greg, thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. It was fun. I know we've talked about doing this before.
I know.
One of the nightly shows. And just,
I had you on whenever I sat in on History Secrets one night and told you, this is our booking agent right here. We need to get. We've got to get you on.
Give us a whole hour to ramble on about stuff.
We can talk for a while.
Yeah, hour and a half is what our show is. But you're just a wealth of knowledge, and we love what you and Russ do. And so good to finally meet you in person and everything. Tell Russ to come by here and holler at us here in a minute.
Oh, absolutely.
And,
hey, Russ.
There he is. I didn't even. Hey, what's going on? I'm good. Come here and sit down and tell us a story about him.
No. Okay, it's been great, guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right, keep that channel going, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Give me 2 minutes. I want to ask you one question. Let him have it.
Yeah.
I won't keep you because I know that you guys are wanting to get out there on the show. We were talking about the Rebel War stuff that you've finally found that camp.
Yeah.
Tell us how it felt that very first day.
So,
I mean, you've done all the research, set it all up for us.
Yeah, so I own a Remax firm, so I get access to some properties and everything. It's a little easier sometimes to get access that way. And been doing all the research. I'm sure Greg told you, just some journal entries and diary entries from Drayton and some of that early. But it's early. It's 1730s, 40s. So been just doing a lot of research on that river crossing. And up there's so much development. It's very tough to see where the terrain and so much erosion. So a lot of those original road beds and all have gone. And so it gotten the permission and went up there one day and took me to Detector, and it was Shotgun City. It was 12th Georgia's everywhere, as we've all dug. And I was kind of coming back, and I dug. The very first thing I dug was one of those early two-piece blowhole buttons. And this one really wasn't a blowhole. It was one of the two-piece buttons, and immediately I knew what was on the a good site. And then it just kind of opened up. Started digging some big 69, 72 caliber musket balls, and then I don't know if you've seen the pictures. It is and all this stuff is great, and you've seen it if you've seen the videos. It's shallow, really shallow stuff, 2 inches, and laying flat down was what Don Troiani had to describe. It's a British officer's waist buckle. It came across from a sash buckle. It's incredible. And it's not marked. This was way before anything was marked.
Right.
And then made my way over, and laying perfectly flat, about 1.5 inches under, was probably one of the most ornate shoe buckles I've ever dug.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and we just don't dig shoe buckles. And, you did not have, shoe buckles went out of fashion in 1780, 1790. You didn't have any settlement up that way unless it was a trader until about 1785 after that Cherokee Treaty opened up. Mm-hmm. So hit a bunch of that stuff, dug about 2 or 3 scissor mold pewter buttons, and you knew exactly what it was. And then, of course, since then, it just kind of opened up, and then we did get on a little extra area. But I think the best things that we've dug, some of the neck stock stuff, the buckles, and then those jackknives. Those Army-issue jackknives are incredible. And,
they are incredible.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen one until you dug
those
something.
clasp knives. Greg dug one totally folded. Mine's in almost pristine, iron. The bone handle of the wood's gone, but the blade was perfectly open. I don't know why he left it, dropped it, and did whatever. But, they were on constant scout, looking out for the Creeks or the Cherokees on some raiding missions, so who knows.
So,
And isn't it funny, we do all of this research to try and find a site like that, and then you go into it and, you'll hunt site after site after site or potentially sites, and, you don't find anything. Then when you finally find it, all of a sudden you realize, I don't know what this relic is. And then you have to go in and research what the relic is. And don't you learn so much?
I mean, I hate it. So I have done, I kind of was getting more and more knowledgeable about that stuff. And that early stuff that's, even pre-French and Indian, pre-Anglo-Cherokee wars that we had here in South Carolina, I have done so much research on that. So it's been a constant fest of speaking at some of these Sertoma clubs and all that stuff, because I've done a big PowerPoint and my stuff is up there. And what I have just researched and found out, but nobody knows that stuff around here. It's, everybody's focused French and Indian on up, and in South Carolina it's Rev War on up. But you get the Yamasee War guys down here a little bit, but up in the upcountry, there's no maps to speak of, and it's amazing. Just through research, what you're finding out on some of these relics.
Well, a suggestion: you need to be documenting all of that, putting all that. You need to do a book.
Yeah, and I think you're right, or at least some type of journal or something like that. But and as y'all know, if you've ever been up toward Clemson, Pickens County, you got Hartwell and Kiwi. Well, they inundated so much of those sites, and they're gone forever. And, Fort Prince George, they put 300 feet underwater. So it's gone forever. So that stuff is few and far between.
And we need to save it while we can. That's the one thing about relic hunting. So it's all going to be gone one day.
It is. This is coming down. I told Greg, past a bunch of guys going to a bass fishing tournament, you could tell. Mm-hmm. And I said, there's a whole world like our world out there. They probably got YouTube channels on bass fishing out there.
They do. Yeah, they do.
And he said, there's probably a lot more, because it's an infinite resource. It replenishes itself.
That's right.
Ours does not.
That's right.
So it's going to be gone, like
and
you said,
Jeff.
In
and around Nashville, they have they've got bait shows and boat shows and rod shows and reel shows. And,
it's that whole other geek world that we're part of. Right?
That's it.
Yeah, it's the whole other thing.
Well,
hey, we're gonna
congratulate you for finding that site.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Good luck on the rest.
It's been fun, but thanks so much for doing your show and everything, guys.
And I told Greg, I had Greg on whenever I hosted History Seekers for Heath Jones.
Yes, for Heath, yeah.
And I told him, I said, I'm going to get you on our show. Well, this is our booking agent back here, Mark Hoover. But I want both of you guys on at the same time.
Fantastic. I appreciate it.
I love the collaboration and the partnership aspect of it.
Well, thank you so much. And Greg's one of the fathers of that video channel stuff, man. It's amazing. And it's been a pleasure and a fun ride, and wish we could get into more stuff every day, as we all do. So,
I know, but you know what? If you could just go out every day and it was that way every day, it'd lose its appeal.
It would lose its appeal.
You have to. You don't appreciate anything unless you work for it.
No, and like I said, the research becomes part of it all, and it's the rewarding aspect of it all. So.
Okay. We've got people that are going to be listening to this show, brand new detectorists.
Yep.
They got a detector for Christmas.
Yep.
We're going to have people watch our videos and your videos. Okay. They just got a detector. Okay. What kind of the best advice you're going to give those people so they don't burn out and get all disappointed and give up?
Well, just have patience, because you're going to dig iron. You're going to dig a bunch of crap, as you well know, and just have patience and know that we do too. If you watch those videos, some guys will show you their trash piles. Other guys won't. Know that. And they're only showing you the good holes, so just don't lose patience. And you can have a bounty hunter or a cheap detector, or you can have a high-end detector, and just know that you're not going to find anything unless the stuff is there. So you got to be at the good. You got not. And look, you can be a park guy. You can go to schools, and I would say, go to some schools, go to some sites where there's going to be some type of non-ferrous targets. Start there.
Learn
the machine, because you will get, if you try to go and try to find a Civil War camper or something that we all try to find that have been in it for a long time, you're not going to find that stuff, or you're going to get discouraged really quickly. Yeah. So go learn your machine at a park, or just go to a school, for goodness sake, and you can find that stuff. At least the machine's going to sound off for you. Yeah.
And then start to play a little game with yourself. Start guessing. I hear this signal. I say that's going to be a dime.
Correct.
It begins because you begin to hear the
train
nuances.
Your ear. That's right. And don't get discouraged, and don't have that instant gratification syndrome or the grass is greener syndrome where you just bought a new $700 detector and you see somebody else digging and you go buy that other detector. Learn that machine that you got, and shoot, you go into a good site in the low country, a cheap detector is going to find it as well sometimes, so that's what those guys are going to have to do.
If you do step up to like a mid-range detector like AT Pro, AT Pro is just a good and you can find those things used right now for $250.
Correct.
I'm going to tell you something that you don't need anything but an AT Pro.
No.
Now, we've got Equinox, we've got GPXs, we've got CTXs, we've got E-Tracks.
Yep.
But I'm going to tell you, day in and day out, whenever I'm scouting, whenever I hit a colonial site that's got a lot of iron, I pull out my AT Pro.
Yeah. Well, you could sounding off on that iron so well. Everything else, the machine. Yeah. So.
But it's just a matter of
learning the machine.
We've done so much junk and so many targets that we're starting to learn it.
That's right. But thanks for having me on, guys.
Hey, Russ, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Really appreciate
it.
Take really care. Appreciate it.
Okay.
And we're going to go to another commercial break, and we'll be back. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671. And be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio. I tell you what, guys, you have no idea how distracting that it is to try to sit here on the stage of the Omar Shrine Temple and look out at all of these Civil War relics and sit here and hold our composure and not want to just run and grab a metal detector and spend the whole rest of the day or the weekend digging for something.
Well, I'm ready to go now. I mean, I could go to detecting right now, and especially our guest that just sat down. Well, she's got plenty of metal detectors we could borrow if we need one.
Miss Debbie from Mine Lab, what's going on, Debbie?
Not much.
We harness you every show, don't we?
You hunt me down for some reason.
Oh, yeah. What'd you say Mark Hoover does? He
stalks me.
He stalks you. And he even brings his wife along to stalk you, too, as well. So glad to have you on. The last time that we talked was at the Chattanooga. Well, no, the last time you came on as a guest with us. But then the time before that was at the Chattanooga show. This whole Equinox thing was brand new, just kind of hatched out. You guys had no idea that thing was going to blow up like it did you?
Not like it did. And, man, it is just finding some great finds from different hunts that I've been on, and that, an AVC plate and this and that. It's amazing what it's finding.
Oh.
What is the secret, in your opinion? Now, I use it, Jeff uses it, you use it. In your opinion, what sets this detector apart from, and we're talking about a mid-range price detector. Yep. We're not talking about a high-end price, but you're getting high-end performance out of that. What's making that happen?
I think it's twofold. Number one, I think it's the simultaneous multi-frequency. I always give the analogy of when people are asking why that makes it better. I've got if I have a fishing pole with 5 hooks and a fishing pole with 1 hook, I've got a better likelihood of finding stuff with the 5 hooks. Yeah. So that's the same thing when you're detecting in the single frequency versus a multi-frequency. And then the recovery speed is just phenomenal.
No, that is right. Have you used the 6-inch coil much?
Yes.
Okay.
Love
now,
it.
I'll tell you, I bought it, and then, you go through these different detectors to these old colonial sites, and then, of course, you buy this detector, and then you think, well, I didn't find but 1 or 2 more flat buttons. Then you buy another. Buddy, I got that 6-inch coil, and, that's all I'm going to use on my Equinox is that 6-inch coil. It is great.
Especially, you get into a trash area with the 6-inch coil with that higher recovery speed, I mean, you hear everything that's there.
You sure do.
Yep.
And then it was a site that Seven and I, we pounded it with a lot of other detectors. And then, of course, I took that 6-inch coil in there, and then about 5, 6, 7 buttons just right off the bat. And
yep.
So.
And you can't really, I've now, not to say 100% that it's not going to happen, but I personally, and I've tried to do it, you can't overload that machine. So you can get right up onto, a metal house site, a shed or something, and you're still going to hear those other targets right around there.
That's right. I've done the same thing.
And I did a video for y'all back when we first got ours, I guess. I found a war nickel. You remember that video that we put together?
Yes.
Found a war nickel, and I had a good, I can't remember, it was like a 12 or 13 tone that came up on, and I don't look at the numbers. I more or less look at or listen to the tones, but it was a good number. And I dug it, and it was a square nail that was almost as big as my little finger, maybe half that size, but a great big square nail. And I thought, I don't know if that is what that is or not. That sure sounded good. But I picked this nail up, and there's a war nickel laying right under it. That war nickel still has the rust on it from that nail.
Oh, wow.
And, I mean, it was just as clear as a bell. And that's fast recovery speed, and that's multi-frequency, isn't it? It's both of those things.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yep. And then now we've done the update. I think we hadn't had that out when we spoke last time. The update on the detector.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And that was primarily done, and not all machines, but some machines, people were complaining that they were having a hard time finding silver on edge.
Right.
And that's one of the improvements that were made through that update. Also, we had fixed just a little bug within the
depth, wasn't it?
The user ID, and then tried to improve the depth gauge.
Yeah.
Well, see, on mine, I haven't updated yet, and I don't plan on it. I like mine the way it is. So I'm just going to keep it the way it is. I'm scared something will change that I'm used to. Well, you can go back. You can revert back. Oh, you can go back? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
there's within the program, when you plug it in, it'll say it's a new, you have the new software installed.
Uh-huh.
Then there's 3 dots at the bottom of the right-hand corner, and you can revert back to any of the other versions of it. Right now, there's just one.
Okay.
But I would still try it.
Yeah.
Because it did fix a lot of stuff.
Well, I'm ready to go home now and try
it. I couldn't tell that it made any noticeable difference in mine. Maybe a little bit on the depth gauge being a little bit more accurate or something other, but I couldn't swear to that. But I got that. I got all that information and everything. I believe it was the day before it was officially released. And on the day it was officially released, I did a video on it. And a lot of people have watched that. I don't know, there's several thousand people have watched it. So a lot of people are updating. It may have helped yours. You may not notice it, but, if the engineers are going in there and saying, well, we ought to change this, they know more about the machine than I do, and you as well. So you kind of got to trust them. I mean, they've had a pretty good track record and everything.
So you've been busy at this show out here.
Just a little bit. A lot of people to talk to, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, and you got more tables than you expected this time, right?
Oh, yes, I did.
But you're doing a good job. I've been seeing a lot of traffic headed your way. So
but what's so neat, it's a lot of people that own the Equinox coming up and telling me what success they've had with it.
Well, that's
just great to hear.
That really is.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Mind Lab has put everybody else. And, don't get me wrong. We use Garrett's. Mm-hmm. We use Technetics. We use White's. We've used other detectors and everything. But you guys have put those other manufacturers on notice that you're going to have to get on the ball and you're going to have to stay on your toes because we're innovative and we're finding new ways to do old things better.
Without a doubt. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but so we're an Australian-based company.
Right.
We have 50 engineers that work on metal detectors. 50 engineers.
Wow. Man.
Then that just blew my mind away that there's that many people working on kind of a niche product, and they're constantly working on new and better technology, finding better ways for us to find things.
Well, my wife, she's not going to let me buy many more metal detectors, so I guess I'll have to sell some.
There you go.
You may not know the answer to this question, but we're big proponents of the GPX because we Civil War hunt and we go to DIV quite a bit. And the GPX I'm using more and more and more. I've got the 10x5 elliptical coil. Mm-hmm. I'm even starting to hunt some house sites. On the horizon, are there some discrimination possibilities in that detector that's going to help us?
It's not so much the detector, it's the technology, so it's pulse. So there's really no discrimination a lot on pulse.
Right.
Now, on the GPX, you can use a double D coil, which is how you get some form of discrimination. You know, we're always working to better products, so you never know what's down on the horizon. Mm-hmm. But the GPX, the Equinox is a great, phenomenal detector. But then if you couple it with a pulse machine like a GPX, you're going to get more depth. You're going to find, other stuff. So by putting them together, using them one after the other, it's a great duo.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
And, of course, that's the only two detectors that a man would need. I mean, that's what I've got, and I really don't need any more, but I'm not going to say that. I hope my wife don't listen to this. You never know what may come out.
How is the Equinox, especially the 800, how's it doing in that Culpeper soil? Aren't they using that gold program successfully in that hot soil?
Yes. Now they're not going to get the depth that a pulse machine would get because it's still VLF. But I've seen it used at DIV and then again at Just Go Detecting, and it did very, very well. Like I said, there was some really cool stuff that was pulled out of the ground.
Well, when we went to DIV last spring, somebody had, I believe they just had a 600 because I think they might have had an 800, but I believe they just had a 6.
Yeah.
They wore us out with the GPXs with that Equinox 600 on that New York camp and in that field house close to the New York Camp Hill. I don't know why, but the GPXs were blanking. The bullets were blanking on that. It was soil conditions, and maybe we were overshooting them. Maybe we had our gain up too high or something. But I remember there was a guy there with the Equinox, and he killed everybody there, and everybody was saying, "What has he got?" And we said, "That's the Equinox." And so when we got back, we knew that we were going to get one eventually. I told Jeff, I said, "We got to do this quicker than what we were thinking about."
Yeah, it continues. The Equinox quest continues now with the 6-inch coil. We just came out with the 15-inch coil, so it just keeps growing. Buzz about it just keeps growing.
Tell us about the 15-inch coil. What kind of success are they having there? Easy to pinpoint with?
Yeah, so for pinpoint, I found on the 15-inch coil, it's more towards the tip and the back of the coil. And it actually makes it better that it's not in the center, just because you can really determine with that large of a space by doing tip and back, exactly when you're hitting it. Okay. Moving the coil back and forth on it. So I had great success with it. I used it a lot at a recent hunt. I actually got into a fire pit with it, so I was really happy about that.
Man, that'd be great.
And with the recovery speed and with the multi-processors in there as well, multi-frequency running all the time, you can hunt a larger coil in semi-junky areas like that. You just have to really slow down.
Yeah, even though you have a fast recovery speed, it's always better to a slower swing.
Right.
But by bumping it up, you're going to lose a little bit of depth, not that much, but that you can discriminate with that larger coil too, as far as what's there.
Yeah. Well, we know that you need to get back to your table as always, Debbie. We appreciate you coming on. What's on the horizon? Is there another Equinox boom coming that we don't know about right now?
Equinox hasn't stopped booming. I can tell you that much. But mine, like I said, we've got 50 engineers. Mine Lab's always working on new technology, so you never know what you're going to see.
Keeping the Panama Canal open all the time,
That's
isn't
right.
it? I tell you what, they were so many Equinoxes on the other side of the Panama Canal at one time there that everybody was they were so frustrated because they couldn't get them here quick enough, But people started hearing reports like what we were given, what you were given, what Heath and everybody else was talking about. And I've had so many people that have called me personally or sent an email and said, I know you do this stuff on the radio. I know you do this stuff on video and everything. Is this thing the real deal? I said, if it's not, I'm not going to say it is.
Right.
And I said, this is a real deal. I said, they're not paying us anything. You've never paid us a dime. You ain't even bought me supper. But, we said it because it's true, because our credibility is as important to us as Mind Lab's credibility is to them. But I want to tell you something. It is the real deal. Now, is it the end all and do all? No, it's not. Nor is any other detector.
Correct.
But it holds its own. There's no doubt about it.
It definitely does.
Yeah. But we appreciate you being on.
My
as
pleasure.
Always, and we'll get you on a regular Thursday night where things are a little bit calmer and everything.
I would love to do that. Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye. And so there was Debbie with Mind Lab. I'm going to run this commercial here again because we are at an American Digger event, the American Digger magazine. If you want to keep up with what's going on in the metal detecting world, then you need to be a subscriber to American Digger magazine. Butch and Anita Holcomb are the publishers of the magazine and have won awards for 3 straight years for being the best digger magazine on the market. American Digger magazine is available in both print and digital formats, so no matter where you live in the world, you can enjoy the latest happenings in the hobby. You can get in touch with American Digger magazine by going to americandigger.com or give them a call at 770-362-8671. And be sure and tell them that you heard it on Relics Radio. And the new issue, the January-February issue of American Digger magazine is out now. They've got them they've got the hard copies here at the show. I've got to go over there and pick one of those up. All I've seen is the digital format, but the article that I did on the Great Silver Horde with Jeff Ford and Wes Stringer and Chris Heimsoff is in that issue, and I want to get Butch to give me one of those, and I'm going to frame that and put it up on my wall as a collector piece. And Jeff has just got back. He walked off here for a minute.
I went to get another guest.
Half redneck?
Yeah, half redneck. I seen him over there with at the Mind Lab table. He was watching over the Mind Lab table while Debbie was up here talking. So.
Yeah, see, that was a conspiracy because we sent Mark Hoover over to Debbie's table to watch because none of her dealers showed up. What do you think about that?
Man, I don't know. That's
so
terrible.
we sent Mark Hoover over there, and he watched her table. We've got all kind of Mind Lab stuff he's brought back.
Yeah, look at his pockets. They're full.
I got at least 3 detectors out of that deal.
You're wearing one of those Detectees Relic Radio hoodies, aren't you?
Man, I'm telling you, I love this hoodie. This thing is very comfortable and nice and warm. I'll probably sleep in this thing tonight.
With that wind blowing the way it is outside, a man needs it today.
Exactly.
You know, this is the first time that the 3 of us have sat down together face to face. Well, no, we did it last night over a meal. Mark and Gail bought Jeff and I supper last night at Longhorn, my favorite place to eat.
We bought that?
Uh-oh. I was wondering why that waitress was chasing us for.
I don't know. Yeah, we just about didn't outrun her out of the parking lot. But this is the first time that we've got to meet and be face to face and everything. We feel like family already, don't we?
We sure do. I mean, it's a pleasure being here, you know, and it's great because this is the first time that Gail and I have ever been to a Civil War show or a relic show like this, and quite honestly, I am just absolutely loving it being here. And the only problem is I'm overwhelmed. There's so much good stuff here. I cannot believe what I'm seeing around here, but it's great being here with you guys and seeing everybody that you're interviewing and just all the amazing knowledge and relics here. It's just great.
So this is your first Civil War show. What's in this show that you like the best? I mean, what's standing out the most to you?
Well, it's hard to pick one thing, but whenever I see a display and you know that somebody has a story behind the relic that they have, it adds a lot more meaning to the actual relic itself. And there's just some incredible stories that go with some of the things that are here. And so just sitting down and talking with somebody and listening to the story about the item that they have and how they acquired it and the person who owned it and all the things that go with it. That's just really impressive to me and just means a whole lot more to me than just seeing a relic just sitting there.
That's right. And Laurie had a good story earlier about a tag that was found.
Yeah, well, Mark and Gail were standing over there talking, and by the way, we're going to get that guy on as a guest. He's one of your neighbors, and you didn't know that.
Well, we didn't know it. He's from DeLand, Florida, and of course that's probably 15 or 20 minutes from us. Gentleman's name is Mike Fisher, and we spent some time talking to Mike. And you know, again, like that ID tag you were talking about, he's got a number of items like that we would love to get him on the show and share some of the stories about some of those items and how he acquired them and who they belong to. And would love to get him on the show as well. So we enjoyed talking to him.
And he had a runaway slave tag that was found, and he said that was unique. He said you wouldn't find those. What was so unique about that? Did you get any of the backstory on that?
I didn't get the story on that. I knew that was one of the items that he had, but unfortunately I didn't get the backstory. We'll have to get that on when he comes on the show.
Right, but he had also a core badge that the guy was wearing in a photo, and he actually got the photo. This guy had signed the back of the photo, and he's wearing the core badge, and those were separated for over 100 years, weren't they?
Yeah, it was about 150 years, and he saw a woman who had it and realized that he had the badge and she had the photo, and he bought one or the other, I can't remember which, and put them both together, and now has them part of a display, which was just amazing. Now, Laurie, I don't know that you were there when he was talking about this, but his wife's had some history with the Civil War, and they had an album that was basically lost. It was, when I say lost, it was sold as part of a sale, and it actually showed up on eBay, and he found it on eBay and was able to acquire their family album that had all these pictures from a long time ago and put it all back together. Now it's back part of their family. So it's just an amazing what is out there, and if you do the research, what you can find, and maybe even acquire some of your own family history.
Right. And we were talking a while ago, you can probably go, and Riley Bryant agreed, you can go to any table here and you're going to at least find a personal relic that was tied to someone personally. But you're going to find these amazing stories. If you'll just don't walk past the table, let the people talk to you for a moment. Let them tell you part of the story behind some of the things that they have. Now, it may be a table that just has bullets and things, and they may not be able to tell you anything about someone. But there's a few of these tables here that they're going to be able to tell you an amazing story.
Yeah, there's lots of stories here. In fact, as you know, we brought in our own story. Gail is a direct descendant of John Howland, who came over on the Mayflower. And she was a Howland when we got married, so she's the daughter of a son of a son of a son, 11 generations back. And so we're going to put a picture of this display that Mark is talking about. It'll be on Relics Radio Facebook group page if he hasn't already put it on there. But go ahead and tell all the story of it that you want to. Well, so it's a pistol from 1844. It was owned by James Nye Howland. James was a descendant of John Howland, who came over on the Mayflower. And James was a Union officer in the Civil War. And this pistol was his. And in the display, we actually have his photograph. We have his wife's photograph. We have his medal from the Civil War. We have her service medal, and we have all of his papers, including his mustering in and mustering out papers. So Gail has taken all of this and put the pistol in the display box with all of the other relics and artifacts in there and the photographs, and made a really nice display out of it. So it gives us something tangible that we can hold on to that goes that has a history all the way back to the Mayflower in terms of the lineage of the family, and gives us a relic that ties all that together.
Well, it is a beautiful piece, and then of course I was lucky enough to see it last night, and then I was like, man, I just love it, and then I've been waiting for somebody to walk up and say, well, I'll give you $10,000 for this
well,
case.
the family tie that you have with that relic and with all that stuff, it makes it, there's no price. You couldn't put a price tag on it. There's no way. And, it is an amazing relic, and as I said, we're going to put that on the Relics Radio Facebook group page. And it's so distracting because there's people walking by and they're looking and they're, you can just see that expression on their face. What's them rednecks doing?
No, what are those 2.5 rednecks doing?
No, they're looking at Mark thinking, man, he's famous. They got him on radio. Look.
Should I start signing autographs sometime?
Well, just walk up. Do you want an autograph? And then, well, yeah, I'll take it. And have no idea who you are.
Exactly.
Yeah. We hadn't given away none of our stuff that we had.
Yeah, Debbie got some, yeah.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Did she? Well, good. We probably need to give one to Russ and Greg if they didn't get one. Too much to think about here, I tell you.
It's a lot to think about.
And internet has not been what we thought that it was going to be. We didn't have any kind of dedicated stuff here, so we didn't take any calls on today's show. But do y'all know what? We've been on for an hour and a half.
We've been on for an hour and a half.
We've been on for an hour and a half.
Well, you know what else? This chair is not as comfortable as mine at home is, and it's killing me.
Well, I'm getting hungry.
Yeah, I'm getting hungry too, and want to go and catch some of the show and everything. Who we got on this Thursday night? Let's just go ahead and promo that. We got Randy Barnhouse.
We got Randy Barnhouse. Randy is an amazing guy. Randy was actually one of the divers for Mel Fisher on the Senora Nuestra de Atocha treasure ship that Mel found down in South Florida. Randy was a diver for them and has just some incredible stories that he can tell about that. But he's also got some interesting stories about what he's doing today up in Hannibal, Missouri, where he's actually been given permission to metal detect and look for relics and artifacts on Mark Twain, his boyhood home. So he's going to share some of that story that he's working on now and some of the stories on the river. So, yeah, great guest coming up.
And, we were kind of looking at some of the stats on our shows and everything. Of course, we come to the understanding real quick. Everybody loves stories about treasure. And so this coming Thursday night with Randy Barnhouse, I mean, maybe the name Randy Barnhouse doesn't mean anything to you, but this guy has his hands in all kinds of history, and he's going to be able to share that. And I know I say it every week, this is going to be an absolutely fantastic show. We're not going to be able to get out of him in an hour and a half everything that we'd like to know.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show. And, of course, like you said, you don't maybe not know his name, but you know the word treasure. And, of course, that's one thing he is he's a treasure hunter. I talk with my hands a lot. He's making fun of me.
You can't see what we're doing, and that's the beauty of live radio. I can't do that to him because I don't know. I don't know what he's doing. I don't want to know what he's doing at home when we're on live radio. But Randy Barnhouse is not the only one. Dan's coming up in 2 or 3 weeks, and tell us a little bit about him.
Yeah, so Dan will come up a couple of weeks after that. Dan Cherie lives up in Alaska now, and he's actually at one time was an airport manager up in northern Alaska, when it gets really cold and they fly those small planes in. And you talk about an adventure in the middle of a snowstorm trying to land one of those planes up there. But Dan and Randy were both treasure divers on the Atocha with Mel Fisher, and he's got some great stories as well about the treasure hunting and finding the gold and the silver bars and all the different things they found on the Atocha. But he can tell you some stories about some of the things they're finding now up in northern Alaska, and it's amazing what's up there, that's buried under the ice. and we don't know all the things, and they're seeing some of that stuff now. So he's got some great stories that he's going to share with some of the projects he's working on now up there. So you'll definitely want to get on, tune in to both of those shows.
And that's in January, and then Mark kind of came up with the idea, an ingenious idea, since February is Valentine's Day, beginning I believe the 31st, isn't it, of January, and then all through February, we're not going to have anything but some of the most fantastic female treasure hunters of all time.
Yeah, we're going to have the Women of Metal Detecting, and we're going to start out with Laurie Gagne from Canada. And she started actually doing some videos on training on how to use the Mine Lab Equinox. But she's a treasure hunter, metal detectorist up in Canada with her family. And then we're going to have a whole series of really well-known women of metal detecting, and you're going to want to be a part of that as well.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great February. Can't wait.
Yeah, we want to reach out, to the young and the old, the experienced and the brand new detectorist, male, female, young, old. That's what we got right now. A mixture of the young and the old. And this is free baseball for you guys. We just had a show on Thursday night, and then we'll have another show on this coming Thursday night. But we did get this show in here and do this for American Digger, for Butch and all the people there. And it was fun. Get to meet a few people, and that's what we want to do. We want to get off here and go and meet a bunch of people here and look at some of these relics and everything. Jeff and I are going to be on Madhouse Show, which is January the 14th, isn't it? It's on
January the 14th.
It's on a Monday. On that live feed. What are you you're gonna be on something coming up, aren't you, Mark?
Yeah, I'm going to be on, but it won't be until March. I'm going to get on a show with Digging with Matty.
Okay.
Matty Tomaney. He's got a great little show that he does, and I'm going to be a guest on his show in March. I think it's March 11th is I'm going to be on that show.
And then Gypsy reached out to me here recently, and by the way, Gypsy's going to be one of the female detectors that we have in February. But I'm going to be on with Gypsy and Mike Hare on All Metal Mode this next Monday. I've got to get home and get everything set right back up. It's been a busy week. So tune in to all of those. I mean, and the giveaways and things that, we've already announced that we're going to give away, our Murray Branch Outdoors is going to give away an Equinox in the first quarter. And then we've just got more stuff that we're going to give away in the second quarter, and not just a detector in the first quarter, but there's other items that are going to be given, aren't there, Mark?
Yeah, we're going to give away, and I say we, our sponsors, Detectees.com, Mark and Ken Guthrie have been very gracious in terms of the T-shirts are giving away, the hoodies. We're going to give away that stuff, and then also Murray Branch Outdoors. In addition to the Equinox that we're giving away, they're going to be giving away detecting items, and I don't know everything that we're giving away, but he's lining the things up that we're going to give away each month. So if you listen to the program and you're part of the chat, you'll be able to get in on that and win some stuff on the show. And so a lot of stuff we're going to give away.
Yeah, and by the way, be sure and check out our Relics Radio Facebook group page, or check out Adventures in History Facebook page, because we're going to tell all the details of all this stuff. You'll be able to find it on one of those pages. And then be sure that on Spreaker.com that you go to Relics Radio and you follow us. That way you're going to get notifications. And on these big giveaways, on all the giveaways that we're going to do this year, you're going to have to be at least on the show, because we're going to give you like 10 minutes to call in and claim your prize. And if that doesn't happen, then we're going to draw someone else. But we'll give you all the details. We'll make sure that you know how you can win. And so looking forward to being with you in 2019. And great to be with you guys here today.
It was great meeting you, Mark, face to face, and I mean, I wasn't disappointed. I mean, you are the way I figured you was, and a great guy. And then, of course, Gail's the same way.
Well, thanks for having us. It's been an absolute pleasure. We're just like two kids in a candy store running around here, and it's great meeting you guys, and look forward to spending some time detecting together and being able to share some stories in the future. And so, thanks again for having me on here. It's been a real pleasure.
And thank you guys for joining us as well. I always say this, but I've got something to look at whenever I do it. If you like podcasts like this, be sure and check out Beyond Sight and Sound on Sundays and Wednesdays. They're on at 8 o'clock Eastern. And then on Monday night, we have All Metal Mode. They're on at 8 Eastern. And then American Digger Relic Roundup, they come on at 9 o'clock Eastern. Then on Tuesday night, History Seekers with Heath and Scott. They're on at 9 o'clock Eastern. And then obviously on Wednesday night, you've got Josh's show, as I mentioned. Then on Thursday night, you've got Hardcore Metal Detecting. They have a show on Thursday and Saturday at 8 o'clock. We have a show on Thursday night at 8 o'clock. And then XP Team USA has a new podcast, and they're broadcasting every other Friday night. So I want to remind you to support all those guys. We're not in competition. We're all in this big family together, and they're sharing the same information that we are. Hey, thanks to you guys that were able to join us on chat today. I know it's a Saturday. Hopefully most of you were out digging, and you'll just catch the archive. So we'll just give you a shout-out on the archive, and we'll see you live Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Relics Radio. We really do appreciate it. Be sure and join us live each Thursday night at 7 o'clock Central Time, 8 o'clock Eastern here on Spreaker. Or you can catch the archive show at Relics Radio on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, or iTunes. Please take a minute and hit the like button, and be sure and follow us so that you'll get notifications of all of our upcoming broadcasts. You can also find us on YouTube at Digging with Seven or Tennessee Jeff, or you can check us out on our Relics Radio Facebook page. If you'd like to get in touch with us, then send an email to diggingwith7@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We hope you'll join us next Thursday night, and until then, get out there and dig some history.